for libertyandeconomics.com and the Liberty and Economics Review. I'm Nick Sorrentino. I just wanted to briefly address a question that has been posed by a few people in the mainstream media to people within the Tea Party. And I think it's a very good question, and that is why now? Why is the Tea Party emerging now? Why didn't it happen under George Bush, who expanded the state by a huge margin and pushed through the Patriot Act, um, the prescription drug plan, um, No Child Left Behind? Why now? Well, um, when Chris Matthews asked this question, the insinuation was basically that these white folks just couldn't stand the fact that there is a African American president now, and that was the case he was trying to make. But I think that that is a fundamental misreading of this uh, the whole movement. I mean, really, it is that is completely wrong, fundamentally wrong. Um, but regardless, it's a question that needs to be addressed, and I would say that there are a few reasons. I mean, one, most of the people within the Tea Party movement are either independents or Republicans or former Republicans, and the truth is, for most people of that kind of political disposition, they fell in line behind George Bush. They did. Um, they watched as he expanded the state, and trust me, many conservatives looked on with the tear in their eye as Bush went nuts, basically, and Cheney made the case that deficits didn't matter. So, um, all the people who truly believed in small government and fiscal restraint essentially were marginalized under Bush. But where were they going to go? Now, true, maybe they should have protested a little, but at the time, everybody was essentially shell shocked after September 11th. Nobody really knew where the world was headed. And people fell in line and they accepted things that they probably shouldn't have. The Patriot Act, for instance. Um, but anyway, so basically, Bush goes through his 8 years, starts two wars, um, just expands the state, doesn't raise taxes, in fact, cuts taxes, but increases expenditures with a compliant Republican Congress for most of his time. And conservatives just, I mean, they didn't know what to think. I mean, what were they going to do? Now, some conservatives had abandoned the Republican Party. Um, I did. Um, I used to work for the Republican Party. I did briefly. I thought pretty much most of my life that I wanted to work for the Republican Party, and I thought that maybe I wanted to be a congressperson one day. And so I went to work on the Hill, and I learned that there's no way I could justify myself more. I mean, I could not look myself in the eye and do that for a living. And hey, I should have known better, frankly. But I also recognize that nobody on the Hill really was interested in smaller government at all. I mean, the Republicans did not want smaller government. They did not want to roll back the state. They did not want to. They didn't want to do anything. They just wanted to stay in power. And Karl Rove had basically convinced them that the way to do that, to remain a majority party, was to essentially do exactly what the Democrats did, which was give out freebies, and hook people up through the federal system. And, they became the Democrats, basically. What was interesting is, so there was a maturation of the populace, the conservative small government folks. Um, they basically started to become aware that Bush had abandoned them and sold them out completely. Then, but they were willing to give him the benefit of the doubt on a lot of things because we hadn't been attacked again um, on our soil. Um, but then the economic calamity of 2008, which we are still going through right now, happened in the fall. And the incredible expansion of the government under Bush which admittedly was not. I mean, Rush Limbaugh didn't pay any attention to that. Fox News didn't pay any attention to that. Um, Suddenly went into overdrive once Obama got in. And we essentially had a situation where we had a crisis, economic crisis, and the most liberal president that we had had for at least two generations, probably more than that. And he had talked about this quote unquote remaking of America, not making it better, not reforming it, remaking it. Um, and what a lot of people saw is, especially when Rahm Emanuel said, you can't waste a crisis. We're going to do things that we can't get away with, essentially, during normal times. A lot of people, rightly, just freaked out. They didn't protest under Bush. They should have, um, but it had not gotten to the point that it is now, where Bush expanded the state by a huge margin. Essentially, Obama has sought to just engulf the whole economy um, in the government. And that's why people are freaking out. Additionally, that's the reason why people are upset and why people are going out in the streets and making their voice heard. But another important thing is Gary North referenced it today at LouRockwell.com, and that is that social media is incredibly powerful, and it has been an incredible tool for the Tea Party. I make my living in social media, and I work with people of all political dispositions. It's not my business to forward my political opinions when I'm working for them. Um, Far from it. In fact, it's completely unethical. However, um, you know, I, I think I have a better understanding of social media than most people, and it is incredible um, how this tool has basically enabled the voiceless to have a voice, a collective voice. They have no place in the universities. They have no place in the mainstream media. They have no place in the government, really. Essentially, the representative government ignores them. Um, but on, but in social media, on Facebook, on YouTube, um, and even on Twitter, these people have a voice, and collectively they can make their opinions heard. Now, the polling is showing that between 30 and 40% of the population identify themselves with the Tea Party movement, which is essentially small government, conservative slash even libertarian sort of a movement, which is amazing. And Ron Paul just came out and polled within 1 percentage point of Obama going head to head. He's a member of Congress. This is unprecedented. Um, so essentially, you have a unique situation where the Leviathan has gone for the kill to essentially encompass everything um, economically. Um, and you have this whole group of people who are relatively educated, who can think for themselves, who essentially have been marginalized, but then have been given a voice via social media. So that's why now you have the core political reason mixed with an ability to do something. The two have come together at this time um, incredibly and created the Tea Party movement. Anyway, that's my analysis. So, until next time.